Hey guys, Happy New Year. It's Jake. I just wanted to say that we lost the footage for this episode, but that's okay. We still have the audio, which is all that matters. We put a waveform over it, one of these things when you talk and does that to your voice. So, sit back, enjoy the show. The next few episodes are recorded, and they do have the footage, so no worries on that front. So, catch you guys soon. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Blind Movie Club, the show where one of us picks a movie and forces us all to watch immediately after dropping the title, followed by an in-depth open discussion. I'm your host, Jake, and with me, as always, is my good co-host, Ian.
That's me.
And with me, of course, is my other dashing, charming,
insanely tall co-host.
squiggly-haired co-host, Joquin.
Hey, how's it going,
He's
fellas?
the Joe host. You almost just hit him with it, dude.
I almost said the Joe host,
Not the Joe
Coquin.
host. Not the Joe host.
This week is Ian's pick, and
I'm
Joquin and I
Ian.
have no idea what he's picking, so with all that being said...
Oh, I know exactly what he's picking.
Yeah, you know what? I do this to you guys every time.
You do.
Go for it.
You do.
I know exactly
All
what
right,
he's picking.
go for it. Say you're close after you get it
He
wrong.
said we already know the length of the movie is 2 hours 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 2:43, but basically
2:43, which means that it has to be Grown Ups 1 and 2 mashed together into a single video file.
Oh my God, you're close.
You think
Jake,
Ian edited that together and brought it here on a flash drive?
I gave him Premiere.
do you have any guess? Year, genre, anything?
Give me a genre and then I want to guess because I got nothing.
I'm gonna actually have to look at the official genre.
Oh, okay.
Of the
Maybe
film.
just give me a thing about it, like a year or something.
1979,
Give me the title of the
79.
film.
Good God, 79.
sci-fi drama, by the way.
Sci-fi drama. Is it a Charlton Heston film?
No,
Damn it, that's what
I wish.
Really feel.
I do love me some Charlton Heston. Jake, you remember how you picked a foreign film?
Oh, you're
It's
picking?
my turn to pick a foreign film.
Baby, let's go.
This time, we're not watching a weird French film. We're not watching a Japanese banger. We're watching a Tarkovsky film.
Oh,
And it's one of his last ones, and supposedly one of the best ones.
okay.
Stalker, from 1979.
Stalker.
Yes.
I've never heard of it. You know
And
what?
I wouldn't look up anything fun about it because I have one really interesting nugget of information for afterwards. It's not really related to the movie.
So habitually, I just searched up Stalker and tried to find the movie. I then decided, you know what? Let's Command W out of that tab right away.
Yes.
The spirit of the show. Is
Yeah.
Blind
Yeah,
Movie
it's
Club.
blind.
I'm going in. I don't know anything
I
about
believe the director's Andrei Tarkovsky,
Mhm.
and he is one of the best, considered one of the most highly touted Russian filmmakers of all time.
it. You know, I've heard the name. I don't think I've seen a movie of his.
I haven't either. I've seen a couple clips from this movie, a couple stills, and then like a general little synopsis. God, it sounds so fucking interesting.
Well, with all of that out of the way, Joker, unless you have some shocking revelation to add,
No.
let's get into
I'm
it.
jazzed.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We just watched Stalker from 1979. Ian, why did you pick this movie?
So I picked it because I'm gonna do this fun fact up front. This movie directly killed multiple people.
What?
Oh, okay.
So the director, a couple of crew members, and a couple of actors all got cancer from the locations they were shooting at.
Where were they shooting?
In multiple toxic areas, like radiation toxic.
Oh my god.
I mean, it
This
makes
movie
sense.
directly killed this director, basically.
Bro.
And it was like his magnum opus, like one of the most best films he's ever done, one of the best films of all time. Like
Why?
directly killed.
Why did he shoot in toxic areas?
They didn't know.
They didn't know.
Remember when I said, remember this scene? That
With the
river
power
with the
plant.
white foam going down the river? Yeah, that's toxic. And people got rashes and like broke out. Yep.
I knew there was more of a reason behind this
Yeah.
movie.
I didn't see that scene. That was a perfect guess on the child on the shoulders thing.
This is an unexpected roar. Where everybody just fucking
No,
got
no,
injured.
people lived in that one.
I guess they lived in that one. For
And
some
they,
reason.
he didn't die like immediately. I think he died 5 years later, 4 years later.
Still
something.
though, that's insane.
It's a lot of death.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. This is the most. Did I asked you during Roar? I'm not off about this yet. I asked you during Roar, what if like this was one of the most lethal movies ever? Could this be considered it?
It's not like people got hurt like immediately while they were on the set. It was just long-term lasting radiation.
It's probably the most lethal one, besides
Maybe.
like Triumph of the Will because it directly influenced Nazis, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're not watching that next, are we?
No, I'm not picking next. So.
But I am, and I'm
Oh,
picking.
Triumph of the Will, baby.
Yeah. That, and I've heard so many good things about this movie and the director, where I just really wanted to
Right,
watch it.
yeah, it's clearly a bona fide classic, and it holds up.
Yeah, it was really,
not to
really
get in-
interesting.
not-
really
I'll
good.
spoil what I think about it. I liked it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I
briefly?
really liked it.
You liked it?
I like it. I do have some. I do think there are some pretty glaring flaws with it, though.
Who wants to start then?
Can I start?
Let's start.
This movie has excellent shot composition.
Okay.
Yes.
Like excellent shot composition and camera work.
Mhm.
The movement of the camera was very slow, deliberate. It created the perfect amount of tension, the perfect amount of mystery, and there's some just genuinely impressive, like the door frame shot at the beginning where it goes through the open doorway, goes into it. The shot towards the end with the room, and we are inside the room seeing them on the outside, and the rain's falling down through it. Like there are some genuinely stunningly, perfectly composited shots in this movie.
Mhm.
And the camera work and editing is immaculate.
Yep.
Like I can understand why people thought it was going to be a classic at the time and why it's considered one of the better. It really is just a glowing example of how to use the camera and your shots effectively to create the tension and mystery that your film is doing.
I one of the first notes I have is I love the long, slow establishing shots. By that same
He's well
token,
known for those as well.
I will say by that same exact thing, the movie does meander when getting where it needs to go.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That is one of the biggest things that I wanted to say about it. It is a very slow-paced movie, and I don't think it effectively uses its time that it does have.
So the first philosophy conversation they have about like when they meet in the bar and they're like, "Why are we all doing it? I'm here because of this. I'm here because of that." After
Awesome,
that
yeah.
conversation, they spend a good 20 minutes before getting to the border.
Mhm.
I felt like none of that was really relevant.
I
'Cause
understand.
what did it add? You know?
I
It-
understand.
it was-
it added like the security and it being hidden.
I
and-
think it was more so this movie tries to add tension to a lot of its scenes, and I think that's what it was like trying to do, because obviously, you know, it's showing that they don't want people going in there.
Yeah.
They're hiding something,
Mhm.
something dangerous, and that's what the whole idea was. So it's just it's for tension, but like that's another thing. I don't think the tension is really paid off at all, frankly.
Yeah.
You got to have tension pay off to something.
I love, I guess, more than half of this movie. I would give it a positive score if you
Yes.
grilled me on
Yes.
it. But I think about like Harakiri, right? And that is a movie that I would say is incredibly slow paced until the end. And that movie unfolds the drama with every line almost.
Yes.
Every single sequence pushes further and further. Whereas this one, there's a lot of just people staring at woods and the shot just kind of slowly moving forward, and it looks good. It is a beautiful movie. It parts on purposely ugly and purposely beautiful.
Yes.
And I respect that a lot, but as a film, I mean, some of these scenes are 10, 15, 20 minutes long. It's a 3-hour movie. Did not need to be, in my opinion.
Understandable.
So
I think one of the more important parts for me and why I liked a little bit more of the slow, I guess meandering would be a way to put it, is
that's the word I use.
I like that the journey is what it is. It's one of the problems I have a little bit with Lord of the Rings, how there is a lot of journey and it does have the build up and it does go to something grandiose and epic. This kind of subverted that expectation a little bit of I expected some grandiose, like amazing thing inside the room, sort of like at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, how it's a very slow, burning, cripplingly quiet movie. And you're watching this movie with that build up, that tension, and the theme of the movie ties directly into that quote quote disappointment that the tension doesn't pay off.
Yep.
I really like that. I think the theming of this movie makes that a lot more palatable, and the theming of the movie is excellently done.
Yep. Basically, anytime the three men are actually exploring the zone and interacting with each other, the movie really works for me.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my
I love
god.
their three, not necessarily conflicting, but different philosophies
Yes.
on the world. And the third guy, the Stalker, has a philosophy you may think he's neutral. He's not. He's got his own agenda and
Yeah.
motives. It's
he
just to
he
do this.
does it at the end.
Yeah.
Where he lays it out all on the line.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah.
he's a very mysterious figure in which we don't know a lot about him throughout the entire movie. Like, we start getting bits and pieces, and we get a little bit of not expository, but his backstory from the writer about Porcupine and his kid, and we start piecing all of them together a little bit throughout. We get little nicks, crannies, like we go into the nooks and crannies of his character through very small details, and he just lays it out all on the line at the end, and
So-
you understand why his motivation and what he does is the way it is.
Yeah. So when they shared the Porcupine story at first, I was like, okay, well, this is just another one of those lines that isn't really relevant or important and doesn't really add anything. It's just attempt at backstory. But we're getting into spoilers already. But like the meaning of the movie, tying back to the writer figuring out, no. He killed himself because the room gave him the inner desire of his character, which was just money, and that tore him up inside.
Yes.
And that
He wanted his brother, but what the world decided was that he wanted money more.
Right.
Than that.
It's based off his character and what he's actually there for.
Yep.
So having done that, it's pretty great. And I love the fact that the two people that the Stalker brings in are a writer and a scientist, and they're both a little disheveled, seeking their respective meanings. And I love that represents like humanity's two of their biggest pursuits, which is art and science.
Yes.
Because like we're always making
And
more art, we're always discovering more
The
about
really,
our world.
really cool thing about that, too, to jump in, is that there are two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
One is definitive facts, logic. Writers create based off of feeling, emotion, and it's the two more opposite things. You have facts, feelings.
Yeah.
Those are the two things, and they're very, very conflicting, but they think very similarly at the end about how there is they basically take apart his quote quote faith in the hope and the more supernatural part of the zone.
Yep. I love how at the end they end up basically the same person because they both reach ultimate nihilism. The writer is like, fuck it, I'm not going in the room. And then you mentioned that he takes apart his faith. The scientist takes apart his bomb physically and throws pieces of it because he's not going to do it anymore.
I think he realizes with the amazing speech by the Stalker at the end. Oh my God, it was so good. The acting in this movie is A1. It's phenomenal. I really like his speech at the end, the wife's monologue at the end, and I believe it was the professor's hardness and softness speech, or was it the writer's hardness and I don't remember which one was doing that. Really, really good.
Yeah, I'm loving a lot of what you're saying. I do kind of want to hit the movie back though, and I'm gonna immediately pass this off to Jobin because he said the same thing. Part 3? Why does it say part 1 an hour for the first hour, and then the other 2.5 hours is part 2?
My speculation there,
Two and
it
a
could
half
just
hours.
be
That's the whole movie.
my speculation there could just be a quote quote intermission, but in a different way, I guess.
I guess, but that's a weird spot for the intermission. But B, the part 1 being a third through implies that there's 3 parts.
I think what could have happened there is maybe they didn't have a good transition, so their idea was to use like a part structure as a transition for that one scene.
But then why not follow that through for the
rest of the
of the
maybe
movie.
because maybe they had the rest of the movie figured out.
They were like, oh, this is fine over here.
Well, I'm just I'm just spitballing here. I don't know. I have a problem even bigger than that, Jake. Like I was talking earlier about like how this movie tries to build tension. I think it would have been better if we had seen one of the characters.
I figured out why it's in 2 parts.
Okay.
Okay, Joe can continue.
I feel like it would have been better had we had maybe another character and that character had died due to like the circumstances. Because what we really, at the end of the day, what we really see like is the I can't, you know, it's weird, I can't even remember what they're in. The zone. The zone only gives them like what, maybe 2-3 hints that like it's alive or whatever it is. There was the don't come in here.
Yeah, the voice of him saying.
They woke up in a different spot, I think.
They did. They
did.
woke up in a different spot.
One
It
was
was a
on each
similar-ish spot, but they woke up in different positions and in like a slightly different landscape.
Was that it?
No, the bird in the
bird?
desert area.
Okay.
Best part of the damn movie, the bird disappearing. That was amazing. Just because you don't expect it, you know.
Yeah, it was
You have-
it was
okay,
wild.
So you have 3 right there.
Yeah.
But I think we could have used a little bit
Well,
more.
also the shifting ground.
Yeah, but we also, thought that there could have just been water under the ground.
But then they stepped on a part of it.
Okay.
Like,
You can step on that. You can step on shifting ground.
Yeah, but it was very interesting. Like,
Sure,
I
but-
like that they don't do too much with it, because once you start doing a little bit too much with it, it loses more mystery.
Sure. But
it's still pretty
but
mysterious.
then the
if
tension,
you don't know why.
I don't know.
shit
To me,
happens.
the tension just doesn't pay off.
No, completely understandable. And you're right. The tension doesn't have the typical kind of payoff.
And
But
I-
I think that's with the theme subversion.
And I hate saying this because it, like, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna get the idea across that, like, if there isn't like action on screen every 5 minutes, I'm just gonna like be bored and fall asleep. It's like
No, but you need to engage your audience somehow.
You're right. You need
know?
something to like keep them interested. You can't just keep piling tension upon tension and then not do anything with it at the end. Because at the end, I mean, they just straight up go back to the bar.
They do.
We don't see the journey home. It's kind of like how you said, like, why do we need to see the journey there? Like, we don't see the journey.
Well, we
home.
need to see the journey there. We don't need to see the 15 to 20 minute getting to the border part.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying journey into the.
I was
into the
clarifying.
room,
I'm
right.
clarifying.
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys why it's in 2 parts, by the way?
Yeah, go.
So
yeah.
the film is in 2 parts because Tarkovsky shot all of the outdoor parts, and then he shot it on a specific kind of Kodak, and the Soviet at the time, filmmakers didn't know how to do it, and they fucked it all up and ruined the entire movie. The film was all gone. He was despondent. Every outdoor scene was gone. So he wanted to stop making it. The Russian film board almost shut it down. And then he went, all right, I have a solution. 2-part film. I go back. You give me more budget. I reshoot everything.
So let me get this straight. They went back and got more radiation.
Did they get radiation beforehand? Did they already have radiation?
Did they? No. What I'm hearing here is they went back, got even more
So
radiated.
they got radiation both times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Double dose.
Double
Got it.
the radiation.
Double the radiation, baby.
Woo. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That how does that equate to the movie having part 1 and part 2?
Because
you don't need to just blend it.
for the film administration, he had to pitch it as a 1 and 2-part film for them to be more okay with it.
But
Because
that
you
only-
notice part 2 starts barely after any outside stuff, and then at part 2 is mostly outside.
But if you're pitching it as 2 parts, as a financial incentive, you'd release it as 2 parts.
Not necessarily.
But then why would you pitch it as 2 parts if it's still 1 movie?
I don't know.
Am I-
Ask,
am I-
ask the Soviet film
Yeah,
administration.
that's it. It's probably just some like weird guidelines that they had to follow at the
Yep.
time.
Ask the Soviet
Film
film
guideline
administration.
dictating what title cards to put in
Well,
the
I don't
middle
know,
of the
Jake.
movie.
Why don't you look up the guidelines?
I mean, like, it's not far-fetched by any standards. That being said, it is definitely a weird thing, but there was an actual reason behind it. They
Right,
fucked
okay.
up all this footage.
That makes sense because it clearly stands out to me. I guess not a flaw, but like a question mark. Like why
Yeah.
do that? But yeah, part 1 could have been shaved down. Lots of meandering before they enter the zone. Part 2 is a lot more interesting.
Part 2 slaps.
But there are parts where it gets really slow. Like when they went to sleep. There's like this 5 or 10 minute vision dream sequence. Cut that whole thing out. Don't need it.
I like that.
Ah.
I like that it basically is like a future-telling thing.
I like it, but we don't need it.
I know, but it's good. I don't
I-
want to cut the things I like out of the movie.
I don't like it, and I don't think we need it because it didn't really add anything.
Here's the thing, Ian. I like it, but it doesn't really add anything. And you would have made the movie shorter because of it. Which this movie does need to be shorter.
I like the length. I think maybe 20 minutes shorter.
I mean, I am more negative on the length, like Joe Quinn. I don't think I'm as negative as Joe Quinn, though. I
Like I
think I'm
think if this
between you
movie
guys.
is,
This could have been just a nice little 2-hour film.
I think if it's like 150 to 2 hours, I think it loses some of that weight, I guess.
Although, can
in
I
the
say,
filmmaking.
I do have to make this point though. About 40 minutes in, Ian got us some bottles of water, and they're riding on the track on that coal mine.
Ian literally said, "This seems like a good place to get water."
Right? He did. He stood up and said that like a fucking cartoon character and walks out into the kitchen.
I did.
It's like,
I
okay.
literally came back and I was like, I felt like this was a good time to do
And
this.
I already had a water already, but then he walks out and he's like, I assumed you needed this or whatever. So I grabbed it. I was like, okay. I start drinking the water and it turns to color. And I almost spat out ice water all over my
Dude,
lap.
The color shift
Transition.
in the movie, where the regular life was the boring sepia tone, and the second you get in the zone officially, it turns to a peaceful, calm, normal, beautiful place. It's like the monotony of life versus the hope, which is the theme of the fucking
I
movie.
said when we shot the
awesome.
intro, when we shot this intro for this show, I said, you know what? I'm not going to look anything up. The ethos of Blind Movie Club is going in completely blind as much as possible and just experience it. I thought it was a black and white movie the whole time. I didn't know it was
Brown and white, brown and
brown
white.
and white, brown
Yeah,
and
like
white.
brown
I
and
thought
white.
it was just one tone color
No.
movie.
It might as well be black and white.
And
and I
mean-
took a sip of the water, and it's just like this. Like, oh.
And I really, really love that aspect, man.
Yeah, it was
that
great.
shit got me. Because then you see the dream sequences, and you're like, oh, why is this happening? And he wakes up, and you're like, oh my god, duh.
There's actually
So good.
there is a movie that exists. It might be my next pick on this show that I purposely do not want anybody to look anything up about before we watch it. So I think this is more of an avenue to do that than Dealer's Choice. It's
Yeah.
going to be a Dealer's Choice, but I'm not doing a Dealer's Choice. So we'll get there when we get there. But I love that aspect because you can't replicate that. You have to hope it happens.
Yeah. Honestly, the movie is very, very strong. Did you guys? I know, quote quote, with the foreign language acting, it's a little bit harder to tell. I think it was great.
I really do, and I think the fact that it's in a foreign language helps because a lot of movies that were shot 50, 60, whatever years ago, they're all talking like this. That's them. Yeah, see, man, they're all talking like that. Can you believe the zone? The zone is crazy. We're all
Okay,
moving around.
not in '79 though.
Sure, but I feel like the acting wouldn't have been as subtle as it came across having it be the actual language that it is.
I think, Ian. I mean, it's funny that you asked that. Like, cause I'm of the personal opinion that you kind of can't judge acting if it's in another language.
Absolutely not. That's just not true.
You can't judge it as well because you can't really. You don't get to see, like, you don't get to understand like their mannerisms in their voice.
I
Just
can
because like it's a different language.
I
Joplin,
can-
to your point, what you're trying to say is
No, I'm not saying you can't completely judge it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying you're missing something there by not understanding the
Yes.
language.
Put simply, the performance is not for you. It is for someone who speaks their language.
That's what I'm saying.
Inherently.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you're
That
yeah.
being
I'm not saying
said-
you can't enjoy their
That
performance,
being said,
but
though-
to me, I don't think it's completely fair for me to judge it over somebody that actually natively speaks the language, completely understands the tone of their voice, understands. I mean, even just having translation, it's stuff like this is never a direct translation.
You're right.
As much as it wants to be.
So you're not
you
going to get
have
the exact wording.
You have to do an adaptation.
Well, also, I want to point something out, too. It's like, yeah, of course, a native Russian speaker would probably be more critical of the acting because they know how to... They speak in that whole language their whole life. Like, for example, and I just watched a video, because I love The Northman. It just came out. I just watched a video where this Viking expert reacts to the trailer for The Northman, and he's pausing it every 5 seconds, 10 seconds, going, that's not what they would wear to that time period. They wouldn't wear this garment or this thing like that way. And The Northman production touts itself as a very historical, accurate movie. And I watched The Northman from my limited knowledge on Vikings. It is very accurate to what they did. They really did raid half naked, if not fully naked. That's great. So to me, it's like, wow, A+, 100%, good job being accurate. But like, obviously a scholar of Vikings would be more critical.
Right.
And the same thing can be said of people who speak different languages in foreign films, where it's like, the acting on my account was flawless. I didn't see any problems with any all three of them.
To discredit Joquin's point a little bit, if, for example, I am watching something in a different language, let's say anime, I know what bad voice acting sounds like in anime. It's loud and annoying.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I simply disagree, especially I think it's completely not completely, but I think it's much harder to judge in an animated form because we get to see these humans emote on screen.
Yes, you're correct.
Emotions carry over through language.
But I
obviously.
know-
But for something like anime, this is like the sub versus dub argument. You kind of can't. For me, you kind of can't tell what's good and what's bad Japanese voice acting.
I can.
But you can
I
always
know what
have an opinion
I know what
whether it's
doesn't
good or
piss me
bad.
off when I watch it.
Sure.
Well, yeah, that's what I point. Like, you can always, like, no matter what you're watching, you either like it or don't. And a part of the reason of that is the performance. So,
Yes.
to you, let's say it's a foreign language. Let's say it's an anime, a better example, because there's no visuals of the humans acting. It's just the voice you can hear. Let's say that's the case. If you're watching it, and in your opinion, the voice actor isn't doing a very good job, it doesn't matter if, hypothetically, if you could see the human, you'd be like, oh, it is doing a good job. Like, it only exists in anime form. You're not going to watch the behind the scenes shooting of the voice acting. You know? So
I know that in certain shows like Attack on Titan, My Hero, terrible, absolutely garbage. I can't listen to it. I cannot attempt to watch it.
Ian, I have seen a clip from My Hero, is what you just said.
Cringe.
I've seen a clip. The main character, oh my god.
Yeah,
That's unwatchable.
it's unwatchable.
It's
I've
so
watched
annoying.
multiple episodes, attempted to watch multiple episodes of the show.
I know.
Not an anime guy. I'm gonna throw that out there. I'm not
like
really an
one
anime guy.
ever. I've
Not
only
an
seen
anime
one.
guy.
I've only seen one.
I don't think anybody in here is
Like,
really an anime guy.
The only
I think Jake would much rather watch like Death Note, the Netflix
That's the
adaptation.
one I've seen. The Netflix adaptation.
I think you'd much rather watch that than the actual show.
When it comes to anime, I have
No.
watched only one anime for more than one season, and it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because it's fucking comes. But like,
Because Joken brought it up, the Netflix movie on Death Note
It is
does
bad.
pretty much one thing better than the show. I like Ryuk as Willem Dafoe in that interpretation better than Ryuk in the show. That's it. That is the end of the list of better things.
you're gonna get slaughtered
you're
by
probably gonna
anime
die, though.
fans.
Why? I said the show does everything else better. Is
You
that not
said,
enough?
no, you didn't say everything.
I didn't say everything. I guess I'm just not a true fan.
Back to this movie though, the ending. So I want to point out that this movie and the book, they only share three things in common. That's it: the word stalker, the word zone,
What?
and the meat grinder.
That's so weird. That's so weird to me.
Yeah. In the book, his kid has not pyrokinesis. No,
Telekinesis?
it's the push one.
Telekinesis.
That's
No,
telekinesis.
that's both.
Telekinesis is where you can move things with your mind.
No,
Yes,
he's saying that
but it's a very specific.
he's saying that it's only one of
Kind,
them, not
yes.
not
It's a very
like
specific
push
one.
or pull.
It's psychokinesis,
Yeah. That
not psychokinesis, which
they're
I
the same,
think.
they're synonymous.
Okay, whatever.
They're the same.
So it's implied that
It's the
the
same
ending
picture.
scene with the things moving is her using psychokinesis,
Mhm.
but it's not
Sure, but I
relevant
get that.
because they don't mention it at any other point.
they don't mention it.
Well, they do say his wife in the monologue does say they tell you about what kind of children they have.
Sure,
So
but how is that relevant to the rest of the movie?
it's
though?
not. I just wanted to
That's
say.
not.
Kind of why it didn't really hit
Yeah.
for me. I was like, oh, interesting. Why? You know, like, it's just,
I guess it's the child of the stalker thing.
yeah, but
which
they already
didn't-
established that with the mutant effect. She
Yes.
can walk her legs.
Yep.
Walk her legs.
I like how they're literally called mutants. She can't walk and she has psychokinesis. She's just child.
she has just straight up Professor X.
Yep.
Even though he
Why
doesn't-
doesn't she just move her legs with her mind?
She-
I literally
does
said that.
not
You did,
have that
dickhead.
power.
I said just fucking
Um,
move your own
Although
legs.
I did point out it has the exact same ending as X-Men: The Last Stand,
Mm-hmm.
where Magneto moved the chess piece and it cut to black. So
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. I do wish we got a little bit more of the family thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
That is
have
something, but I guess it's a little bit less relevant to the theme of like the hope and the faith in something, not something more, but just like hope, faith, and happiness in general.
I have a big positive and a big negative.
I like both of those.
Which one do you want first?
Give me the good news.
Good news. Okay, basically the ending. Aside from that sequence, would be like when I guess she's just staring into the camera at that point. Which
Yeah, that happens multiple times, and I don't hate it.
This is a sequence that I did not hate that version of it.
I didn't hate his hardness and softness speech either, because he was looking into the camera for that as well.
Well, she was talking about how marrying the stalker for her was akin to entering the room for the three men. She didn't say that, but that was the subtext where she says, and I wrote down the quote, "I'd rather know bittersweet happiness than live a gray and dull life."
Yes.
You can read that line literally. Their lives are monochrome in the movie. They desire to go to the room to get what they wish for.
Yep.
This entire movie is about the struggle between trying to get what you want and the consequences of trying to get what you want. Like, there's the whole confliction of like, oh yeah, if I only had $1 billion, my whole life would be the best. I'd never have problems again. It's like, no, you don't even want to attempt to try and get there. And if you do get there, it's only hell at the top.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point of the movie. Like, all three men did not enter the room. The stalker
Yeah.
wouldn't have. But all three men did.
He's forbidden.
He's forbidden. What? It's weird because, like, the stalker could walk into the room and be like, all right, my girl, I want her to walk, but I guess
Yeah, but what if she lost her Professor Xavier mind powers?
that, or he's gonna get a bunch of money and then be so sad that he kills himself. So, but whatever. Yeah, no, I really liked the end speech. I liked how what she was talking about basically reflected the point of the movie.
Yes.
But in a much more subtle way.
Subtext. It didn't feel like text.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool to me. I really respected that. Hate the opening crawl. I've already forgotten all of the exposition after it's been
think
crawled.
it hurts having it be in subtitles, though. I think that hurts.
It
Then
sucks.
again,
Yeah, we would have been able to just read it immediately.
then again, has
no,
an opening
still
crawl
sucks.
ever been good?
Kind of no. It still sucks. I don't feel bad about forgetting what you told me because you told me in the laziest possible way. This is a visual medium. You need to either do it in a sequence, you need to lay out, and the rest of the movie did it. The rest of the movie did the sequence perfectly. They established through exposition during certain sequences, during debates philosophically. Oh, hey, don't go there. Why? Because I didn't throw the thing. That's visually established. We follow that as an audience member. But you convey all of the basic points of the movie, or the premise of the movie, I should say, in this like 2 or 3 paragraph thing from a fake news report that we know nothing about from a guy we've never seen before. Like, it's this whole... It's a very lazy way of doing it. Yeah. And I wonder if it was added after the fact because it didn't have that, and the producers were like, nobody's going to understand this. Put texts explaining things at the beginning. So that was my vibe about that. It's
They could have lost the footage that established it at the beginning and then had to throw that in there as well.
Could have been. Like, remember Dune 1984, where in the beginning 2 minutes was the girl on the green screen going, this is Dune, this is the explanation, this is the whole planet, this is everything.
But then it does throw you into the best scene, the third best scene in cinema of all time. Where they polygon fight.
They do polygon fight. That's true.
So
what a better way to start the movie.
There's no better way. Young Patrick Stewart walks in, eyebrows dude walks in, polygon fight.
What if Patrick Stewart was digitally de-aged in Dune 1984? Doing the
What
polygon
does
fight.
that even mean?
He'd look like a baby.
He's already de-aged.
He's already young. That's what de-age means. He's young already.
I'm out of notes. I'm all set with notes.
All right.
I just want to say
that
that there is definitely problems. Despite the problems of this movie, I think that what it does well, it does in the upper echelon of what I've seen.
I am inclined to agree. This isn't my favorite version of this type of movie, but it's certainly worth talking about.
It reminds me a little bit, well, I guess this movie reminds me of Stalker, Annihilation.
I was thinking Annihilation.
It reminds me.
Annihilation?
No,
a few years ago.
It's bad at the end. This movie ends
similar.
much stronger. That movie builds up to something and then disappoints the shit out of you with it.
But yeah, this movie is eerily similar to Annihilation. I think. Yeah,
I mean, it might be based on the same story.
It's not. I
No?
looked it up. The guy from who wrote Annihilation put on Twitter like, "Dude, I did not fucking intend this to be any Stalker thing," because people were drawing comparisons. When
That's
it came
funny.
out. I will say the flaws of this movie in that the pacing, the meandering, Annihilation doesn't have. The exploration the whole time in Annihilation is engaging and thought-provoking, as opposed to this where it's just in highlights. But this movie hits stronger.
Yeah.
Especially the
Better
point at the
theme.
end.
So
Better
what I'm
theming.
hearing is if you combine the two movies
Yes.
and take all the good parts of each
Fan
movie,
edit. Even though it wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how are you guys feeling out of 10?
I'll go last.
Okay.
like a 6.
6.
I'm feeling a 6. I'm feeling a strong 6. You know,
I'm feeling a strong 7.
Oh.
I think this is a really good movie. Everyone should at least see it once, just to get talking about it.
hit me on 1.5 times speed.
Yeah.
No. Don't ever.
Definitely
Do not.
doesn't.
Okay, if anybody
never.
ever tells you seriously watch something at a faster speed,
That means they don't understand.
do not watch
Yeah.
the movie.
It's either do not watch the movie or they're dumb, watch it at normal speed.
Also, content exists that's faster paced than fucking Stalker.
Yeah.
Like if there's stuff out there if you want to watch that kind of stuff. But you don't have to take stuff that isn't and retro format it that way. There's ways.
Some
there's too
people
much content.
appreciate a slow burn.
Yeah. And
Like,
if you
that's
don't,
it.
you don't have to watch them.
Yeah.
There's plenty of fast burn.
So what I'm hearing is watch it at half speed.
yes.
Yes.
Make everything slow burn.
Everything should always be slow burn.
Uh,
Every Quentin Tarantino movie, 0.25 speed.
0.2
It's a slow burn and a fast burn at the same time.
0.25. Dude, his movies would be like 10 hours long. My
It
guy.
would be. They're all so
Dude.
long.
No,
I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm between two numbers. I'm just gonna say the higher one for now. I think it's like a 9. I think
Okay.
it's really, really strong. I'm between an 8 and a 9, but I think what it does well is excellent. Like absolutely just excellent.
Well,
And the things that I don't like, I think there could be some cut. But that being said, like other than that, and yeah, it doesn't have that huge payoff, but thematically, it not having that huge payoff still makes sense.
sure.
I think I'm inclined to say I just genuinely enjoyed it.
And I can see your point on that.
Yeah. I think maybe 20, 25 minutes shorter, and this movie is almost immaculate. Like, truly. But it was definitely worth a watch. And the thing that I saw, the clips I've seen from it were legitimately just like clips of, all right, here's some toxic areas. This is where it is. This is how bad it was at the time. Like, genuinely like, so it was really interesting. And I'm like, I want to watch this movie.
The funny thing to me is because you said that they had to go back and reshoot out all the outdoor scenes, more people probably would have lived had they not.
But the film wouldn't have been made at all because he
Sure.
didn't want. He was so upset that the film was lost that he straight up was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done.
I think you might disagree with me on this one, but human life is a little more precious.
Oh,
than...
he's not saying that he values the movie over people dying.
No. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Fuck it. No. Like, obviously, human life is more important. That being said, though, like, you can also be exposed to areas like that, and they might not have known the areas were like that.
No, I think obviously
You know, it's an oversight.
obviously they probably did not know. I'm assuming they didn't know.
Yeah, what do you think the director fucking killed himself?
That being said, they were shooting downriver from a hydroelectric plant.
Yeah, that is kind of well.
But also, 1979.
Yeah,
Chernobyl wasn't really
You didn't really know about that.
That was
like in
early
certain areas.
age, early
you
age.
didn't know how bad that it was for you, and you also didn't know the impacts of it because they didn't have as tight of, I guess it would be EPA here, testing on certain things.
Yeah.
So like it sucks so bad.
Also, like, the more time goes on, the more, like, rules and, like, guidelines to follow with, like, filmmaking productions there are. So you wind the clocks back 40 years, there's no fucking rules.
Yeah.
Just pay somebody and they show up for shooting.
This will be, if it
Simple.
came out in 1979 and they basically had to film it twice, probably shot for like 3-4 years.
Something like that.
Came out, that means it started maybe in like 75.
It means it's a third as good as Roar, which shot for, what, 11?
Where's the Flash, which is shot for...
Yeah, it's not shot for, but it's gonna be coming for.
well, I mean, it's shot.
Now what do you do?
It's been
it. But yeah, I'm glad I got
yeah.
to experience that, and it was definitely worth a watch.
That was
And
certainly
you
a
guys
good
should
pick.
watch it. You know, sometimes we'll watch a movie and I'll be like, "Damn, bro." Like normally I'll tell people watch something regardless, but there are some things where I just don't want people to watch them because they shouldn't subject themselves to it. Like, do you really want to be miserable? Go watch The Beach Bum. You don't want to watch that movie at all. There's no redeeming qualities. There's nothing there. This movie, despite you guys having pacing issues with it, there is a lot there to enjoy.
Yep.
So even if you guys don't like slow burn movies, even if you guys have problems with the pacing, watch it because it does so many different things at the top level that one thing for me being a little bit mid, maybe even better because I don't have that much of a problem with the pacing, will not hinder your enjoyment of the other stuff.
Absolutely.
So-
I would agree with that. So,
all right.
yeah. See you guys next time for Jokwin's pick.
Joke movie's
boy.
gonna suck balls.
Oh, guys. I'm
I'm gonna make fun of it the whole time.
Guys, pick a number, because that's how I'm gonna do this. Because I have like
From what to what?
1 to 3.
1 to 3?
I almost said 4, so I'm really glad you said that.
1 to 3.
I was gonna say.
Agree on a number.
Agree on a number?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. 2.
All right. See you then.